everyone, welcome to my very first video of the Modus Geek. Now, alright, in my very first video I decided to talk about a movie that I just saw yesterday. About a movie that I just saw yesterday. I know, yesterday, November 4th. How can that be possible given that Eternals only premiered today worldwide? Well, as it turns out, I don't know why exactly, but in Argentina, we received some movies one day before in the United States, or at least worldwide. So, uh, some movies, I not all of them. So I went to see it yesterday, and honestly, I wasn't expecting like completely falling in love with it. I wasn't expecting something. Um, I don't know. I wasn't expecting what I saw, and not in a bad way. Actually, in a very positive way, I must say. Chloe Zhao, you know, I mean, I gotta give her credit for a lot of things. About cinematographies. I mean, it's insane. I mean, the fact that they went to actual real locations to shoot the movie, I'm pretty sure some of them, maybe, I'm not sure, were made in studio, but most of the shots were out in the open, and that's just beautiful. When you see it's the landscape, it's just chef's kiss. So, and not only just that, the story that she had to build, how to present the characters, given this is a standalone movie introducing not one or two, but 10 different superheroes, or at least 10 different characters in one movie. And not only the characters themselves, but their story, right? So you had something that the Avengers actually didn't have. I mean, the Avengers had solo films, each one of them, except for Black Widow, at least not until the end of it. But before the first Avenger movies, most of them had their own solo film, except from Hulk, which is a different story. But in Avengers, all you had to do is pretty much put them all together and just make them save the day. Whereas in these, none of them had their own unique solo film because, well, then again, the Eternals sort of like they work together. It's like they come in pack. When you buy, the pack, so she had to do that. Well, not only her, she had her own team. I mean, I don't want to just give credit to one person, although, Chloe Zhao being the director of this film, I'm pretty sure she was pretty much involved in a lot of decisions for this film. It's definitely different. I understand why now some critics were divided. There was such a mixed opinions about it. Some didn't like it, some liked it. I actually really like it. I liked it even more than what I thought it was. I was gonna like it. I enjoyed it a lot, and it's a slow paced. The rhythm of it is slow. So if you are gonna go to watch to this in the cinema, if you're gonna go, be keep that in mind. It's about 2 hours long. I think it's a little bit more, and it is slow. It has action too, but the action is so well done. Like when Macari runs, she's the speedster. She's the fastest runner of the universe according to the comics, and all those action sequences when she runs is just amazing. I think that's just beautiful. I want to talk a little bit about Chloe Zhao, who actually brings a different vision to the Marvel Cinematic Universe that it's quite refreshing and kind of interesting. And you will see why this film is very different. Not only they have a very diverse cast, I mean the diversity of the cast, and not only the cast, the cultures that they're shown in the movie. It's quite refreshing as well. It's beautiful. It's interesting to look at. They don't dwell. They don't go deep or full into each culture, but it's something new, something we haven't seen so far. So I really really enjoyed that. The the introduction of the first openly gay character, and not as just a background extra or just a background, I don't know, third character. No, this we're talking about one of the Eternals who actually shows up and has a husband and has a son. And I like the fact that they didn't shy away from showing intimacy, such as, hugging or kissing. No, I'm not saying that there was a lot of hugging and kissing between the two of them, but I like the fact that they show that they didn't shy away from that, and that's a bonus. What the only thing that I have that's just a nitpicky of mine, I mean, I don't want to be nitpicky, is that it felt a little forced sometimes. Like they wanted to do it, but I don't know. It didn't feel like fluid. It didn't feel like natural to me. Not natural as in the no get a man with a man. Not in that sense. Not at all. But it didn't feel. I don't know. Fluid. If that makes sense. That's a personal thing that I have with the film. That's a personal impression that I have with what I saw. It doesn't necessarily mean that maybe if you go watch the film, you will necessarily feel the same way. Maybe you love it. Maybe you love the chemistry between the two of them, and you love the gay couple, and the fact that there is actually an actual gay character as a main character in the MCU. I really liked, actually. I really like Fastos. I thought his history was interesting. Again, there are some characters and there are certain couples that I actually would love to see them develop in like solo films, like their own story. That I think that they deserve their own story, and I don't know, but that's just the feeling that I got from the movie. So now there's an actress, a deaf actress actually in this film, which I thought it was a nice touch of inclusion for the deaf community. It's her name is Lauren Ridloff, and she's playing Macari, who happens to be the fastest runner in the universe, as per the comics. And I thought that it was really, I don't know. I just liked her character. I think that there's so much more for each character. I think that there's so much more to see. I felt like I wanted to see more of these characters, like in after they split, right? If you have seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen the movie, I think it's in the trailers. I think it's been said about the fact that there's a certain time where they just split, each one of them goes their own way at some point of the story, and that's why I think I would love to see more solo films or individual films about certain characters. It would be cool. It would be interesting. So anyway, now another reason why I loved, yeah, I'm going from love. It's the philosophical depth of this movie, actually, because it's not just a movie about the good guys versus the bad guys, and they're fighting the big baddie um, Crow, and saving all humanity and all. It's about. I love the debates they have as a group about humanity, about their involvement in humanity, whether they should help them out or not, the loyalty to the mission, the loyalty to their family. It's about what's the right thing to do versus the wrong thing to do. Discussions about the greater good, love. There's the take on love, the take on faith, family values. It talks about. Those are. Interesting things to talk about, and the film. It shows you all of them in its own way, yes, but it's I would love if you liked Midnight Mass, and especially if you liked the debates between the father and the guy who went to prison that I now don't remember his name. I'm so sorry. I'm really bad at names. If you love those talks, well, like I did. I mean, I like those talks and they debate about humanity and the right thing and the greater good and all that, right? I actually I enjoyed their debates, their discussions about all of these topics that are not, you know, not less important. And I would call this an intellectual film, the most intellectual film of Marvel. So by far. And it's not to say that doesn't mean that all the other movies are really awful or silly or dumb. No, they're different. They're unique in their own way. They have their own style, their own vision, their own uniqueness, and that's amazing. But I don't know this movie. I don't know. It was different. Definitely, it's definitely different. You have to go and watch it, even if people say that it's the worst movie Marvel ever did. I don't care what they say. You should go and check it out and decide for yourself. Um, yeah. One thing that disconnect me about the film a little bit is the chemistry of the love triangle, but not. I mean, I think that by so far everybody knows that there's this love triangle going on between Cersei, Dane Whitman, and or Dan Whitman, and Icaris. Now, a lot of I've heard some people say that the chemistry between Icaris and Cersei is not like I don't know. It's not like, oh, you just look at them. It's like, oh, like Jim and Pam, and I see that. I see that. I saw that, but I know why. I know why. I think that's and I think that's also interesting because I think they built that on purpose. Now, Dan Whitman, it's by far again one of my favorite characters. Uh, Actually, Dan Whitman, Cersei, Druk, and Makati are actually four of my favorite characters. All of them they're great, but those are like the top four. Um, and I love them all. I think Dan is actually pretty well balanced, and I'm actually looking forward to see what he does in the next film, if there is one. If you've seen the movie, you'll know. If you haven't seen the movie, you'll know when you go see it. So yeah, I loved it. I loved him. I love Kit Harington, and I say I love a lot of times now. Now, all right. So my expectations on future Eternals are positive. I mean, go for it. I want more Eternals. I want more Chloe Zhao directing the. If there's another film, I want. I think that by now maybe people know whether there's going to be more films or not, if it's going to have a sequel or not. But I want more Chloe Zhao taking a look at. I think it's a start. You know, it's a bit rocky. It feels a bit rocky because I think that maybe what the struggle was, it was trying to combine Chloe Zhao's style, which she comes from, directing movies that are more like indie movies, indie films, and the Marvel movies formula. No, those type of films. The movie does have humor. It's not a lot, like it's not all over the place, but it has humor for those of you who are interested in going watching the film, and you're kind of preoccupied by the fact, if will there be humor? Well, yeah, there will be. I think that the only thing that was rocky, it was a little bit of combination of trying to combine a little bit of both, and which is understandable because it's those are two completely different styles, but it's a start. Whether it was well done, whether it was rocky, whether it felt like it's a start. It's a start, and I think it's a start in the right direction. And I hope, and I want to see more of this in other films. So anyway, that's my afterthoughts, my impressions on the movie, on my first video. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. See you next time. See what other crazy thing I have to say about any other movie or TV show. I don't know. I'll see. We'll see.